Hello, everybody, and welcome to the part two of the new moon and solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So, if you haven't watched part one, please do because I'm explaining everything there before we get started. Alright, so, side note, I feel like yesterday or last night, it was totally, completely setting in and hitting me that I am being a total rebel because we're cracking codes for the pandemic and I'm still uploading, the pandemic videos despite everything that's happened. And where I am now, I have the most control, which is great. So it's just wow, I'm just so happy. So um anyways, so I'm only going to be reading 2 degrees today. So it's going to be shorter than the last video. So all right. We left off at MC 13 degrees Capricorn. Okay, so in the inside degrees, the title of this is A Very Old Wrinkled Brown Paper Sack. Use and misuse. Taking advantage of your own beast of burden and endurance to get the most out of yourself you possibly can. Okay, to put it plainly, the MC in astrology is always the 10th house. The 10th house is Capricorn, so Capricorn is careers, public image, your professional image, it's other people's money on an authoritarian level, the boss, management. So, this is sounding like scrounging for change. Like the boss is trying to make themselves look as much as their public image or their reputation or their professional image as much as they can for financial purposes. 13, because this is 13 degrees Capricorn, 13 in the tarot is the death card, which is endings, transformations, major endings because it's a major arcana. So if you add 1 and 3 from the 13 together, it's 4, which is the Emperor, which is the authoritarian figure in this sense. So when you put these two cards together, who is death coming for, And it's drastic because these are two major arcanas. And it's drastic for the Emperor, to say the least. So the next line in this degree says, extracting productive results from other factors and fixating upon these. Eventually you get what you put into it. So it sounds like this authority figure is going to pull up their own receipts, their own facts, and sticking to that to keep up their image. And it looks like it works. However, the next line says, if there is exploitive, or darkly abusive side to your way of operating, it generates karma of aging and death and blight, which is what we're talking about here. So, which is, the authoritarian figure's motive, we figured out it's not great. So, throughout the Libra new moon and the Aries full moon videos that I did, we're explaining the authoritarian figure's motive throughout these videos. So it's not news. So if you haven't watched those, please watch those because they're juicy and interesting. So, point blank, it looks like it works for the authority figure, but it doesn't. So it says that it will go viral also as karma. When it says generates karma of aging, death, and blight. So, and the next line says, it becomes crucial to develop against the grain, compassion, and all gentler feelings. Okay, so after this goes viral, it'll be even more urgent and hard to look compassionate and empathetic to the collective. Point blank, that's it. Because the next line says, because if unchecked, the heavy-handed self-demand to make the world better at all costs will decimate the inner self. So, whatever this authority figure tells us, the collective or the world, whatever, because it says to make the world work better, whatever this may be, whatever this authority figure tells the world to make us come together in a manipulative way by doing something. This could be past tense, present, or future, or all three. And the inner self is our intuition, right? So it sounds like whatever this urgent thing is kills off whatever we told ourselves before about this action that the authority figure asked us to do before, to bring us together. So for me, this sounds like the vaccination shots. And if it is the vaccination shots, people are going to wonder about this whole thing in the future. Which brings us to Venus 22 degrees Capricorn. A bare altar covered with black velvet. All right. Death is a force that brings onto Earth something from beyond, and this something is the X factor to the human equation, is the second riddle. Okay. So, something from beyond, if we're going off of the last riddle in part one, from worlds beyond, being something holy, this something is the X factor in the human equation. So solve for X. When you have a problem, the answer is X. So death is the problem, and it's also calling something holy to the earth. So the next line says, your own previous deaths as major signposts which hold you to your noblest and most surrendered ways of being. So previous deaths, meaning past lives. Major signposts being guides because they tell us where to go, where not to go, what things are. So if we're rereading the line again but simplified, it says, your own past lives as guides which hold you to your noblest and most surrendered ways of being. And the only thing we have in common with this life that we're living now and our past lives is our literal soul, right? So holding you to your noblest and most surrendered ways of being is like holding you to your soul. So what does your soul say? And what does that say? What does that mean to you? Holding you to your soul, holding you to your will, basically. What is your soul saying? What is your soul telling you about this pandemic? And do you feel like you're being held against your soul? Like you can't even be human. And the next line says, morality has spoken. Immortality arises from the ashes, which is the phoenix, right? The next line says, a threshold awareness that hugs the edge between the worlds and bows before a God who resides over the living and the dead. So the phoenix mindset, or the awareness, the threshold awareness, is like determination. If you're, rising from the ashes. That's sheer determination, right? So, hugs the edge between worlds, which is earth and heaven. You know, what we're talking about this whole time. So, determination that hugs between earth and heaven and bows before a God that presides over the living and the dead, which sounds like the judgment card. And let me pull that out. Let me pull it out. I put these in order. I swear. Alright, got it. Alright. The judgment card. So, bows before a God who presides over the living and the dead. I mean, it's calling the dead, but when it sounds like you're calling something dead, it's like something forgotten, and living is something present and known, or bringing it back up again because it's relevant to now karmically. And the judgment card is like karma on a grand scale because it's a major arcana. So it also sounds like something's merging because it hugs the edge between earth and heaven, something past and present, something relevant to now. You know, it all just sounds like something's merging together. And I don't know. That's all I figured out from that riddle. It's open ended, and I was like prompted to stop there. So I'm going to continue the rest of the parts today. So I will see you for part 3. That's all I have to say. Let's talk about it in the comments below, right? I mean, I guess it'll make sense in the future what this thing is, and I'm excited. All right, you guys. I'll see you later.